There are wounds you cannot see, and yet they are the ones that bleed the longest. A broken bone may heal in a matter of weeks, but the fracture of trust, the betrayal of intimacy, or the quiet disregard of someone you thought valued you, these cut deeper. They leave behind invisible scars that you carry into every future interaction unless you choose to break the cycle. Most of us instinctively seek justice. When we are betrayed, we imagine the confrontation where the other person finally understands the depth of their cruelty. We fantasize about that moment when our words pierce them the way theirs pierced us. But here's the Stoic truth. You will never find peace by waging a war against those who never cared in the first place. This is not a guide to revenge. This is not about how to hurt them back. This is about the most intelligent way to rise, without noise, without drama, without giving them another ounce of your energy. And surprisingly, the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, left us a blueprint for how to achieve this. They did not teach us to escape pain. They taught us to endure it with dignity, to transform wounds into wisdom, and to protect our souls when the world turns cruel. If you've been lied to, betrayed, gaslit, ignored, or discarded, this message is not just a lecture. It is a liberation. And the liberation begins not with them, but with you. 1. The futility of revenge. Why we crave payback. There's a moment right after pain hits when the mind screams for balance. The emotional equation feels unfinished. They hurt me, so I must make them feel the same pain. This is natural. Humans are wired for reciprocity. When someone smiles, we smile back. When someone attacks, we want to retaliate. The Stoics, however, warned that this instinct, though natural, ensnares us in a trap. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Why? Because revenge keeps you tethered to them. Every second you plan your comeback, every sleepless night you spend imagining their guilt, you are still giving them control over your inner world. You think you are reclaiming power. In reality, you are ceding it. The illusion of winning battles. Let's be honest, you will never win an emotional argument with someone who doesn't care. You could present the most logical case, rehearse the sharpest words, and shout louder than you ever have. Still, they won't see your pain as you do. Why? Because indifference is not ignorance. It is often deliberate disregard. The betrayal wasn't an accident. The silence wasn't forgetfulness. The manipulation wasn't confusion. It was a choice. And no matter how clever your words, you cannot force someone to value what they've already dismissed. This is where Stoicism draws a line. You don't win by exposing them. You win by evolving so far beyond their reach that they cannot touch the version of you that emerges. That evolution begins with one radical act, refusing to play their game. 2. The discipline of peace. Peace is not pretending. Peace is often misunderstood. It is not plastering a smile while your heart aches. It is not forced forgiveness that denies reality. It is not suppression of your anger or humiliation. Peace, in Stoic terms, is power. It is the quiet conviction that you alone decide who has emotional access to your inner world. This requires discipline. Most people think that ignoring someone is avoidance, but the Stoics reframed it. Silence is emotional discipline. Not everyone who hurt you deserves a reaction. Some people deserve only distance. Protecting energy like a monk protects silence. Imagine your daily energy as a currency. Let's say you wake up with 100 units of energy. Every time you think about them, you spend 5 units. Every time you replay an argument in your head, you spend 10. By lunchtime, you've already squandered 70 units on someone who is not even thinking of you. How can you build a strong life on those leftovers? Your energy is sacred. It is the fuel for your creativity, your growth, your relationships. The Stoic approach is to spend energy only on what you can control, your choices, your perspective, your response. Everything else is waste. 3. Pain as teacher, not identity. The trap of endless loops. When betrayal strikes, the mind spirals. Why did they do this? Did I not give enough? Do they even feel guilty? You replay conversations, analyze every glance, decode every silence. Meanwhile, they move on with their life while you remain imprisoned in mental loops. Epictetus's wisdom hits hard here. We suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them. The betrayal was real, yes, but the ongoing suffering is sustained by our unwillingness to let go. That's not their doing anymore. That's ours. Resilience through friction. Think of your mind as a muscle. Growth comes only through resistance. The people who hurt you become the weights in your mental gym. Every betrayal shows you where your boundaries were weak. Every disappointment sharpens your discernment. Every silence from them is an invitation to practice spiritual discipline, not chasing validation, but practicing stillness. Resilience is not built by avoiding hardship. It is built by meeting hardship without losing yourself. Asking different questions. The victim asks, "Why me?" The Stoic asks, "What now?" Instead of searching endlessly for reasons in their behavior, ask, "What lesson is this pain teaching me? What boundaries must I strengthen? What version of me is being born from this fire?" The shift from why to what now is the turning point. 4. Rewriting the narrative. The stories we tell ourselves. The most dangerous wounds are not the events, but the stories we weave around them. They left me because I wasn't enough. They humiliated me because I was weak. They betrayed me because I'm unlovable. These narratives become identities if left unchallenged. But here's the Stoic alternative. Rewrite the story. They left me because life redirected me towards something greater. Their cruelty revealed their character, not my weakness. Their betrayal showed me the strength I never knew I had. You don't deny the pain, you redefine it. Clarity over closure. Most people spend years waiting for closure. They imagine an apology, an explanation, a confession, but closure is rarely given, it is taken. If you need their words to heal, they still own part of your mind. The truth is you don't need their closure. You need your clarity. Clarity that says, "I was hurt, but I am not broken. I was used, but I am not worthless. I was dismissed, but I am not invisible." That clarity is yours to claim. 5. Boundaries as justice. Boundaries are not cruelty. The Stoics understood that justice is not revenge, but rightful order. Boundaries are your form of justice. They are not walls of anger, but gates of wisdom. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your soul. You don't owe explanations for why you no longer answer their calls. You don't owe the right to hurt you twice. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you let boundaryless relationships stain your soul with disrespect, you darken your inner world. Boundaries are how you preserve its light. When they resist your growth. Here's the reality. When you begin to enforce boundaries, some people will accuse you of changing. They will guilt trip you, call you cold, or paint you as selfish. But the truth is, they were never connected to you. They were connected to the version of you who had no boundaries. And when you grow, they lose control. Let them. Their reaction is not your responsibility. 6. Silence as a sword. The power of detachment. Toxic people feed on reaction. They want the argument, the scene, the drama. Detachment robs them of all three. This does not mean storming out in anger. It means leaving quietly, without explanation. You don't scream. You don't post cryptic messages online. You don't hope they notice your silence. You detach with dignity. That silence is louder than any insult. It says, "You no longer matter in my world." And nothing unsettles the manipulator more than irrelevance. Evolution is silent. Revenge is loud. Evolution is quiet. Most people want revenge to prove a point. But as long as you are trying to prove anything to them, you are still chained. True freedom is becoming the point, living so fully that their memory fades into insignificance. You don't grow for applause. You grow because you refuse to stay small. The final word is no word. The most intelligent destruction of those who hurt you is not an outburst. It is indifference. Not because what they did didn't matter, but because you finally realized you matter more. That is the essence of Stoic power, to reclaim your sovereignty without lifting a sword. 7. Forgiveness without reconciliation. The distinction we forget. One of the most misunderstood concepts in healing is forgiveness. People assume that forgiving someone means letting them back into your life. They assume it means excusing their actions or pretending the pain never happened. That is not forgiveness. Forgiveness, in Stoic terms, is not about the other person at all. It is about freeing yourself from the poison of resentment. Seneca once wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." To forgive is not to say, "What you did was acceptable." It is to declare, "What you did will no longer control me." You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can forgive someone and still keep every boundary intact. You can forgive someone and still decide they have no seat at your table. Why forgiveness is self-mastery. Carrying hatred is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. Resentment corrodes your peace, your health, and your focus. It ties you to the past with invisible chains. Forgiveness, then, is self-mastery. It is refusing to let their betrayal continue dictating your future. It is not for them, it is for you. This is why the Stoics valued forgiveness, not as a moral command, but as a practical tool for freedom. 8. Mastery of the self, control the controllable. The Stoics divided life into two categories: what is within our control, what is not within our control. Within our control, our thoughts, our judgments, our actions. Beyond our control, the opinions of others, the betrayals of others, the past itself. Epictetus was blunt: some things are in our control and others not. The betrayal already happened. That is outside your control. What remains within your control is the meaning you give it, the boundaries you set afterward, and the life you build beyond it. Rebuilding self-trust. Often the deepest wound is not the betrayal itself, but the feeling that we betrayed ourselves. We saw the red flags and ignored them. We felt uneasy but silenced our intuition. We allowed access to people who had not earned it. Self-mastery requires rebuilding self-trust. It means listening to your instincts without dismissing them. It means holding yourself to a higher standard. I will no longer ignore the truth for the sake of comfort. You cannot always prevent betrayal, but you can strengthen the walls of your inner citadel. The inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius described the soul as a fortress. No matter how chaotic the world outside becomes, no one can enter without your permission. This is the heart of Stoicism. Your inner citadel is impregnable if you refuse to open the gates. The people who hurt you knocked loudly, but they only entered because you unlatched the door. Now, wisdom requires vigilance. The citadel must remain strong, not with bitterness, but with discernment. 9. Applying Stoicism in modern life at work. Betrayal is not only personal, it happens in professional settings too. Colleagues taking credit, managers exploiting, friends at work turning competitive. The Stoic response is not to wage endless office wars. It is to practice calm competence. You don't fight gossip with gossip, you outlast it with excellence. When people see your consistent strength, the manipulators fade into irrelevance. In family betrayal cuts differently. It wounds the roots. Here the Stoic challenge is greatest, because you cannot always walk away. In these cases, boundaries are subtler. You may choose less contact or emotional distance even when physical distance is impossible. You learn to love without allowing their dysfunction to rule your life. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Notice he expected it, even from those close to him. Expectation prepares the soul for peace. In love, romantic betrayal burns the fiercest because love demands vulnerability. When that trust is broken, it feels like a part of yourself was stolen. But here the Stoics would say, you did not lose yourself, you lost your illusion about them. The lesson is not to shut your heart forever, but to open it with greater wisdom. To love again, but this time without abandoning self-respect. Strength is not loud. Modern culture often glorifies dramatic displays of anger as strength, but Stoic strength is quiet. It is not shouting, not fighting, not seeking revenge. It is maintaining composure when chaos erupts. Strength is the ability to say, I will not descend to their level. This does not mean passivity. It means choosing your battles wisely and ensuring your actions align with your highest values, not your lowest emotions. The difference between power and control. Revenge gives the illusion of power. But true power is control, not over them, but over yourself. Ask yourself, who really wins? The person who loses sleep plotting retaliation, or the person who sleeps peacefully because they've outgrown the need? The answer is obvious. 11. Building the better life. The ultimate revenge. If there is such a thing as revenge in Stoic philosophy, it is this: living so well that their memory becomes irrelevant. Build health that radiates strength. Build friendships rooted in trust. Build work that fulfills your purpose. Build inner peace that no betrayal can shake. When you thrive, you deliver the loudest message without saying a word. You no longer matter here. Becoming untouchable. Untouchable does not mean cold or isolated. It means secure. It means knowing your worth so deeply that no rejection can redefine it. It means standing so firmly in your truth that others' lies cannot bend it. That is the highest level of Stoic practice. Not avoiding life, but engaging with it from a position of unshakable self-respect. 12. Reflection and renewal. Journaling as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius wrote meditations not for others, but for himself. It was his private journal of resilience. You too can weaponize writing. When the mind spirals, pour the storm onto the page. Write the anger, the grief, the confusion, then reframe it with Stoic clarity. Over time, you will see your evolution in ink, the raw wounds transforming into wisdom. Daily reminders. To stay free, you must remind yourself daily. I cannot control others, only myself. My peace is worth more than their attention. Silence speaks louder than anger. The best revenge is to be unlike my enemy. Simple mantras repeated carve resilience into your mind. The gift of betrayal. It sounds strange, but betrayal can be a gift. Without it, you may have continued living in illusion. Without it, you may never have discovered your strength, your boundaries, your independence. Amor fati, the love of fate, means embracing even this as part of your path, not because it was good, but because it shaped you into someone greater. Conclusion. Walking away without a sound. The smartest way to destroy those who hurt you is not to destroy them at all. It is to build a life so strong, so radiant, so untouchable, that their cruelty collapses into insignificance. You do not need to confront them. You do not need to expose them. You do not need to wait for closure. Your silence is your closure. Your peace is your justice. Your evolution is your answer. And in that silence, you discover something remarkable. They no longer matter because you have risen, because you have reclaimed yourself, because the fortress of your soul now stands unshakable. That is the essence of Stoic wisdom. That is the most intelligent way to respond. And in the end, that is the only destruction worth pursuing, one where you destroy not them, but the hold they once had over you.